Well, today, I'm so proud to have Governor Jeb Bush with us. It's a privilege to have you here with us, Governor. I think one of the things we've seen is that, change is coming. Everybody talks the new normal. They frame it in different ways. We know it probably won't always be like this, obviously, hopefully, right? But it probably won't go back to exactly the way it was, even for education. And education, more so than most spaces, had a harder time, right, moving into this 21st century thinking that you're talking about, and what a lot of us have seen as being anytime, anywhere learning, where the learning follows the child doesn't have to follow the classroom. It's the other way around.
Right.
And so with that in mind, I think one of the things that this really could do is help all of us, teachers, education leaders, innovators, you think about it that way, as in push us into a new paradigm. The new paradigm being that we have no choice but to deliver in this new form. So now the question is not if we're going to do it, if it might be a hurricane next time. It might just be that a kid with disabilities needs to learn from home. The question is now, how are we going to do it? Not if we're going to do it.
So, think of all the parents that are going on Khan Academy or any resource that you have saying, I can't teach my kid this 6th grade math. I need to know how to do it,
Right.
or 9th grade math, or all the things that they're now helping their children who they love with their heart and soul to learn, because they're now the frontline teachers. So there are these tools available that become more the norm rather than the exception. And I think that's exciting. I do think that there will be a new normal. And the question is, will it be a defeatist kind of new normal, or will it be one that is saying, this is the chance to do something really big and really important, really positive, and that all of us have a role to play, I think, to determine whether we are pessimistic or optimistic, because the change will have to happen. You're absolutely right. Think of this. You have public pensions are increasingly, an increasing amount of money going to public education goes to pay for the pensions of retirees, not of the classroom teachers. And so, in some states worse than others, but that issue, that strain is only going to get worse. When when your defined benefit plan gets cut by 20% or 25%, when you already had a big deficit, that's going to force changes, because you can't keep raising the employer contribution rate forever and ever. It's just, there'll be a pressure cake that mounts. The state budgets will be replenished by the federal government, but there's going to have to be some significant sacrifice, I think, for the short run at least. It's hard to tell. Florida will be better than some states, but if you're in Texas, where oil and gas revenues will be hitting the floor here, plus sales tax revenues down. The corporate tax scholarship program in Florida is going to be imperiled. If people don't pay corporate taxes, they don't get a credit. All of this disruption is going to create an opportunity to think differently. And the question is, are we going to take advantage of that as an opportunity to do things differently or not? And this is where we share a similar passion. I would love to see a system where every child reaches their God-given abilities every day. And at the end of the year, you have, if 25% of juniors in high school are capable of taking college level work and only 4% do, what about the other 21%? Why wouldn't we give them the access to be able to accelerate their learning rather than holding them back? And if we have a ton of kids across the country that tragically are middle school level readers in high school, why would we tolerate that? Why wouldn't we want to make sure they master the material before they move on? So you could envision a system where assessment's different, where measuring success, how kids are doing is different, but it's based on, not on seat time for funding, but it's based on competency. You master the material, you move on. If you had to think of the long-term investment in the future of this country, that would be, without a doubt, the most powerful thing that we could do. And so it could be, if we decided this is important, we have to change the laws and the rules and the regulations to make that become the norm rather than the exception. You guys are living proof that you can you can kind of bend the rules to be able to move to a model like that. But ultimately, our system of education is based on a funding model that was built 150 years ago, 180 days. It's an industrial model on top of an agricultural calendar. And out of this crisis, we could move to a completely different system that would be so powerful for teachers and so powerful for parents and so bring so much good for our country. That's my hope, that this turns into a massive opportunity to improve education across the board.